All right, fellas, we are live. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to this amazing podcast that we are still nameless on. So if you guys do have an amazing name out there and you guys want to title this thing, like please just drop it. Drop it in the comments. Drop it wherever you're watching this, Facebook, YouTube's, wherever you're at. But today we have I would say a very special person, a very special guest. We have Munif on here today. So if you're inside the Subto community, you know who this guy is. If you're not in the Subto community, well, shame on you. Get in the Subto community. But he's all over outside the Subto community. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. He's on Twitch. He does so much value, not just for the Subto community, but for the real estate community in whole. And we're excited to have him on. Sam is actually like really good friends with him, knows him extremely well. So I'll probably be asking the majority of the questions because I'm genuinely curious about this person, this myth that they call the Munif. So without further ado, Sam, if you want to just kind of introduce Munif into our audience, this amazing captive audience here today.
Right. So there's a few things that we want to do on this podcast, right? And number one is highlight amazing people to other amazing people. And the other amazing people in this instance are our audience. They're the Subto community members. They're the people who may not be in Subto but are watching us do what we do. And I am on a divine mission to showcase amazing leaders. Now, I have high value. I put a high value on what I consider someone to be a leader for. Now, a leader can be a lot of things, but to me, the highest value a leader can consist of is if they create more leaders. That is pivotal. It is critical to communities. It is critical to success, and it is critical to driving things forward. And today I was adamant about having, in my opinion, next to Pace Morby, the greatest creator of leaders I have ever personally met. That's my good friend, Munif Saza. Munif.
Hi.
Say hi to the folks.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
So Munif, let's start at the beginning. So tell us like the origin story. How did this whole real estate thing become an idea, a seed? Like why? Why real estate?
This is a good question. How far back do we go? Do we go back childhood? Do we go back further?
Where does it root from? Like again, like you're here today. Like where would you say was that point? Like okay, this is why I want to do real estate. And then what was even your first?
I'll start in the beginning. So I'll start in the beginning. This is when I was a child. I was always very free. I was always very. I didn't like constraints. I didn't like pressure. Just other people's expectations. So I thought I was going to be a doctor. And so I went to school, even since middle school, I went to like special magnet programs and magnet schools, like magnet high schools, where you have to like test to get in. And it was like engineering, medicine based stuff. So I did engineering stuff, middle school and high school, and I did biomedical things. So like the plan was go train to be a doctor, and the fallback option is an engineer. This was the plan. And I was a terrible student. I scored very well, but as a student, I got distracted in school because I would talk to my neighbors. And then I would always, every class, every new grade, every new teacher, I would get in trouble for talking to my neighbors. And then I remember a few of my teachers would try to put me next to them. They would literally like move their desk right next to theirs and just isolate me. They'd said, keep an eye on you. What they did not realize is I would talk to them. And they're supposed to be grading tests. Everyone's reading and I'm asking them about their weekend and they're telling me their life story. But then they're not getting their work done. And so they would put me back to the class. They'd say, okay, and they couldn't stay mad at me. It was impossible to stay mad at me. And I didn't know I had this superpower. I thought I was an engineer, so I would study I would actually get zeros on quizzes and homework assignments because I realized at a young age that if I just do well on the tests, I would get an A. So flash forward to college. My degree was in biomedical engineering. It was both. biology, engineering, biomedical engineering. And then I shadowed doctors as part of my training. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this. I was like, there's no freaking way I'm going to do this. And I didn't know how to tell my parents. So like I graduated, get my degree. They're like, okay, take the MCATs. I take the MCATs. I kick ass. They're like, okay, time to apply, all this stuff. And I'm like delaying it, right? I'm just like delaying. And one day I told my parents, I was like, I'm not doing this. No way in hell I'm doing this. This is crap. I'm not working like this for cool. It's good money. I mean, doctors make six and a half figures. They work their guts off. I didn't want to do that. Not like this. I didn't like how they did it either. It was just very process oriented. They just treated symptoms. It was a whole bunch of things. I just didn't want to do it. So my parents were like, yeah, no problem. What are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. And so I lived with them. Like after I graduated, everyone was getting jobs. I stayed at home. And I stayed at home for about a year and a half. I stayed in my mom's basement. I didn't know I was a bum. I didn't know what I was going to do. And there was a breaking point where I went to my buddy, Daniel. He was graduating. I drove down to his graduation. And I go and I didn't have money. So I asked my dad for some gas money. He gave me $20. So I calculated I could spend maybe like $5 on gas, maybe $15 on dinner. Maybe I pay like $8 on my tab, $8 on my tab, and I pay tip. So it's 18, something like that. And I get to dinner. It was great. And then I'm looking at the menu and I'm like studying the menu. And everyone gets a round of a drink. And I passed. I was like, no. And the guy next to me, I've never met this guy. He goes, how come you're not getting a drink? And I said, I don't know why I said the truth, but I said the truth. I don't know why I told him the truth, but I told him I couldn't afford it. And he goes, what are you talking about? And it's on me. He's like, it's on me. Don't worry, get it. And it was just like this small gesture, but I wanted to cry. I was so touched. This guy doesn't know me. And it was so nice. And he had just graduated too. He had a job lined up, a $60,000 a year job. And I was like, wow, he's making $60,000 a year. I'm spreading this $20. This is like my net worth right here. And I was like, wow, this like buying me a drink is nothing to this guy. This is amazing. So I never forgot. I don't even know his name. I will never forget his face. I don't even know this man's name, but he changed my life. So I get back the next day. I tell my dad, I said, Dad, I'm done with this crap I'm doing. I'm going to get a job. I know IT is good. I have an engineering background. Let me get something with computers. In 6 months, I have a 6-figure job. I applied myself. I got a job. And moved out. I got my own place. Life is good. But then I realized this paycheck that comes in is like it's like a drug. You know, it's like this. They give you this money that you can't get more. You have to like actually beg them for a little bit more, maybe 5% more. Maybe you have to beg. You have to get on your hands and knees. And I wanted to buy things, but I couldn't afford them. What is this? Can't afford. And then I read this book. I actually bought a condo. I bought a condo. I think it's this brilliant investment. I buy a condo in DC. I still own it. And literally 2 weeks after I close on this condo, I read this magical book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You may have heard of it. And it's like the first chapter is like, yeah, your home is not your biggest investment. That's a freaking lie. Like it's a huge liability unless it's earning you money. And I'm just like, oh my God, I just bought this freaking condo. Are you kidding me? Like I just bought an investment property. Like this is so, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And so I read the book and it changes my life. It was like the first mental paradigm shift I've ever had, right? I'm just like, really, you can earn money like this? This I don't understand. And then I start getting like Instagram ads for like the Rich Dad Poor Dad program, and my cousin Faisal, I call him and I'm like, hey, I bought the tickets for this program. You must come. Let's go. Let's go together. And he doesn't want to go. I'm like, no, you must come. You must. We have to see this. So I drag him in there, and we do this 3-day workshop, and we're sold. We're like hooked. We're like, there's no way. This is unreal. Like, no freaking way. And we like buy their like deluxe package. And like, I remember I had no money. Like, I literally like I just bought a condo. I put like renovations on like a credit card. Like, I had no money, and so Faisal lent me the money for it. And that was the start of my real estate journey. And like, literally, I get this, and I was like the biggest. I like took this engineering process, and I applied it to like this real estate investment business. And for 2 years, I never made money. I analyzed, I comped, I took other mentorships. They were the first, but I took like 2 or 3 more, and it didn't click with me. I just did a little bit of everything. I tried. I just couldn't. And then Faisal and I, we really didn't do much business together. He ended up doing his own thing. I did my own thing. And he calls me one day. He goes, bro, if you're still ever interested in real estate, you've got to check out Pace Morgan. Got to check out Pace Morgan. I'm like, whoa, who's Pace? So I like Google him. I watch a YouTube, and it's like this live where he's like talking to a seller, like explaining creative finance. And I knew the concept of creative finance, but I'd never heard somebody actually articulate it as well as he did to a seller. And I was like, I got to learn from this guy. I'm like, I might never even talk to this guy, but I want to get in this program, this mentorship. I want to watch his videos. So I actually DM him. I'm like, hey, like, is this mentorship worth it? Like, literally, I was like, I have a screenshot of the DM. Like, is this worth it? And I worked 9 to 5. At the time, I had a sick girlfriend, my ex, but at the time she was very sick, and I took care of her. I was like, I got all these obligations, and like, do I even have time like to do this? And he's like, yeah, man, like 8 to 10 your time. We meet every day as a group. And I was like, perfect, let's do it. So like, I literally call his salespeople, and they're like trying to sell me on the court. And I'm like, no, you don't have to sell me. I'm like, where do I sign? And they're like, do you want to know how much? I'm like, I actually don't care. Like, where do I sign? And like, they tried to like, hey, like, there's a pro. I'm like, no, like my cousin's in it. Like, I want to do it. Like, I will sign right now. And they signed me on, and the rest is history. I get in, I go to those meetings in the morning. I find out that they're role plays. You like pretend to talk to a seller. So somebody, it's a group of like anywhere between 70 to 200 people who show up in the mornings, and they highlight, different students, and there's a coach, and they coach people through role play. So you pretend to talk and negotiate. And I thought it was going to be simple, but my first one, I get on the phone, and I'm so nervous because I've talked to maybe 4 or 5 sellers in my life. Even in those 2 years, I was too nervous to talk to actual sellers. And I do the role play, and I'm so nervous, I hang up the phone. I literally hung up the role play phone. I said, hey, this is Munif. They go, who's calling? Why are you calling me? And I say, oh, I'm so sorry. Must be a wrong number. I just like hang up. So they were so nice to me that first day. They're like, hey man, great effort. But next time we don't hang up on our sellers. Let's stay on the phone. Like, don't give up. Like, just stay on. So the next day I do this. I'm like, okay, don't just keep them on the phone as long as you can. And I literally would just keep them on. And back then when they did the daily dial, the role plays, now they help you. So if you get stuck, they'll pause it and they'll help you. Back then they didn't. So if you're just sitting there just like waiting, it's just dead silent, and like no one helps you. And then the seller's just like, what's going on? And you just say what it was very painful. But I did this every morning for 6 months. And Before I knew it, I had my own streaming show where I'm calling real sellers. I'm streaming them to a live audience. A few months later, I find myself in a competition where it's a sales competition called the Closers Olympics. And I'm talking to live sellers with a shot clock with 30 minutes on the clock. And I have to get a deal in 30 minutes. And I won second place in the competition. So this is my origin story.
Dude, that's freaking amazing. And there's some comments in the chat saying Isabel said she was on your first call, which is freaking amazing. someone watching this podcast was on your first call. But take us back to that very first moment when you decided to make that investment. I think that's like a pivotal point in most of our journeys where they make the commitment not with their mouth but with their actions by putting where their money where their mouth is, right? So talk about the first mentorship with the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then kind of some of the other ones that you went through, as how that kind of laid the foundation for you to maybe recognize that this mentorship, the Subto mentorship, was maybe more your calling versus if you wouldn't have gone through those, I guess, what would you have not known if you didn't go through those situations, those mentorships?
So like those mentorships taught me a lot of theory. So like I knew in theory what a Subto was, what a seller finance was. Excuse me. I knew in theory what a lease option was, fix and flip. I knew these theories, but I didn't understand how to actually do the deed. How do you actually talk to somebody to explain this and say, hey, like this sounds great, let's do it. So this is very important. I learned how to actually do the business from Subto. I remember the first transaction I signed for that first mentorship. I will always love them for getting me started. They did high pressure sales. They were like cornered me in a room and they're like, do you want financial freedom? You either do it or you don't. You either do it, like you're gonna have to take bigger risks than this. What are you risking? Nothing. You gotta take risks. You gotta spend money to make money. Scared money don't make money. There's like a lot of this. And I was like, oh God, let's do it. Oh God, I'm scared. I'm gonna do it. I made no money from it. But I dumped too much money into it. I was like, it was like literally the sunken cost fallacy, right? Like I put so much money, I'm like, I need to profit from this. I literally took a second mortgage on that condo I bought to like finance this stuff. And I put so much into it. Like he was right in a sense. He was like, look, like if you spend this much money, like you're never going to give up until you recoup it. And he was right. He was right. That was like the greatest because like he was right. So that was, I always can thank them for getting me started because the reason I didn't give up for 2 years, I was like, this is not going to be an L. I've spent too much money. I can't take an L on this. But I knew Subto was going to be the last. I was like, I'm not spending a penny more. If this doesn't work, I'm done. I'm not made for this business. I'm not made for this. And then it's funny because the daily dial I tell you about with the role plays, I did for the first month and a half of Subto, I didn't even join it. I was too scared to join. I would like be in the chat and I'd like almost raise my hand and I wouldn't. And then I told myself I must change what I'm doing. If I want to really see if this is my calling, if I want to see if this is what I'm supposed to do, I must try. So I made a promise to myself that I must raise my hand every day in the role play sessions until they ask me to coach them. And if I miss a day of raising my hand, I will quit real estate forever. And it was a great promise because I raised my hand every day and it paid off.
That's amazing. It's funny you say that because I've been to that same seminar, that same 3-day seminar. They pull out all the sales tactics. They teach you how to go raise your limit on your credit cards, right? And yeah, I think, and I chat with many people. They always ask me like, do I recommend that? It really just depends on where you're at, right? And I think if you play the long game, which is as we hear your story, is something that they definitely did. Is maybe it doesn't work in the beginning, But if the cost is enough and you're that committed, like you eventually will figure it out. And sometimes like I've seen that program work for lots of people, and I've seen it not work for people. But ultimately, it's the commitment level of just continuing to be persistent and continue to show up. And I think that's really the cool part I've heard from your stories. This, it looks like on the outside it's easy for you, right? But as you start to share with the audience, it's like you had these feelings of like I don't want to raise my hand. I don't want to get on the phones with sellers. And as we see Munif today, nobody probably sees that, right? Everyone's like, well, this guy's confident. This guy loves talking to sellers. This guy has everything going on. And so I think it's important. Like it's just cool to hear that, to hear that it was a struggle for you and it was hard. And
I
you have
mean,
feelings, just like everybody else who's listening. They got feelings.
I've got to say this because I'm someone who's extremely close to Munif. Munif, you agree, me and you are freaking close. We spend a lot of time together. We spend a lot of time talking together. And as someone who made a name for himself as a closer, I look at you and I've seen Munif on the daily dial. I've seen him on the nightly dial. I've seen him on the Closers Olympics. I've seen him call sellers live, like being in physical proximity to Munif, like being 2 feet away from him. And one thing that always boggles my mind when I look at him in the moment, you always think, God dang, this guy just has so much raw talent. Like this is the most naturally talented person I've ever seen, in this space. And then I always have to take a step back and remind myself that Munif was on the daily dial every single day before I even joined Subto, before I even got into real estate. So the reality is there is this perceived notion that Pace Morby, who is truly, truly gifted with what he does, and Munif, who is also extremely gifted with what he does. But they've put in the hours. They've put in, I don't know how many thousands and thousands of reps. Munif, you and I, we were on Twitch the other day and we spoke about this. We spoke about finding your superpower. Munif, in my opinion, I would say your superpower is talking to people at its core. Do you think that is a fair assessment?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
So, but the reality is, you tell us your story, you were phenomenal at talking to people in the beginning when you were a kid and you got in trouble at school, but then you got into real estate and you're hanging up on role plays. So maybe talking to people, talking to sellers at that time may not be your superpower, but we said this. Logan, Munif, if you didn't know, you can't see it because he's cut off by the camera. Logan is chiseled out of marble. This man is a physical beast. And there is an element to uncovering your greatness through consistent, measurable action day in, day out. And Logan, Munif and I talked about how you're not just born with your superpower and it's manifested. You got to put in the hours and put in the time to train and find it and really polish it. And I look at Munif now, and this is the result. This ease this perceived ease that Munif has when he talks to people. It is the result of countless hours, countless trainings, countless putting himself into uncomfortable positions. And there is so much to say about that. But Munif, I want to ask you this because you are also a host and a coach on the Daily Dial now every Thursdays, right? There's there's 50, 60, 70, 100 students there every single day. And at least half of them are probably in the background, not raising their hands because they are afraid. And they look at you and they look at how easily you do this. What do you have anything to say to those people who are there in the backgrounds, waiting, hoping they can put their hand up, but they're not able to find the courage to do it yet?
Yes. You must make a promise to yourself. This is, or there must be some kind of pressure where you must perform, you must produce. So for me, it was, all right, I lose this game. Business is not for me if I don't do this. That was my promise to myself. And even the Closers Olympics, I didn't want to do it. People asked Elena Tang, Elena. Mm-hmm. She actually mentioned, she commented on my Instagram post, hey Munif, you need to try out for the Closers Olympics. And I actually have the messages. No, Lena, not this year. I'm really busy. I'm really busy with my business, blah, 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 blah. But it was a lie. I was scared. I was lying to myself. You know what I mean? When you're, yeah, no, I'm busy. Well, I was scared. I should have just said I was scared and just been open. But it was this, when I think about it, I was very scared. Then what happened is Pace Morby on wholesale hotline bets $10,000 I'll place top 3. Like by my name, he says Munif will place top 3 in the Closers Olympics if he competes. Now this is pressure. This is, how do I back out? How do I not? I have to, right? I must compete. I was pissed when he did this. I was excited and I was pissed because he never told me. He never asked me. He just put it out into the world. And now he challenged all these other people, right? This is way above me now. Now it's not just about me and me being afraid. It's like I'm representing something bigger than myself. You understand?
Yeah.
So how can I not? So I had to. I had to try out. I had to compete. I stopped my business. Sam knows this. I stopped my business. And from morning to night, all I did was I timed myself talking to sellers. Like this, I didn't just show up to the Closers Olympics and just like wait, like weeks. I think I had like 2 or 3 week prep time where I just like, he tells everybody while it's a couple weeks out. I'm like, holy shit. I do the tryouts and I actually make it in the tryouts, which I was like, no way. Now it's like I have a couple weeks before the event. So I stream my training. I think I still have my calls somewhere saved. And I do these 30-minute shot clocks. And I just tell people, give me your leads. I'll talk to them for free. I actually got contracts during this. And I trained. I had a setup. I called sellers. I dialed. And I just 30 minutes. And there's just calibration and practice. I remember those days. It was like 9 in the morning till 6 in the evening. And it's different because talking to sellers all day is one thing, but practicing for this high intensity event with the timeline and then what I did is like I had the audience give me points, like my viewers would like score me, and I just trained. And my cousin Faisal, the same Faisal I dragged out from back then, who's Sam's current partner, he drove 5.5 hours from Pittsburgh to support me, so he helped me train. And he helped me calibrate. And I remember the last 30-minute session before the close of the Olympics. We like did this awesome session, and we high-fived. We were like, I'm calibrating. And then I did it. And then what you saw on the screen where people were, oh, wow. It's like, no, I practiced really hard. And then I meditated, and I literally practiced to be calm and relaxed. Like I actually put a lot of effort into not only the skill set, but like the mindset. And I went in with the mindset of I'm going to win and I'm going to be relaxed. So there's a lot of this behind the scenes that go on because, but yes, this is what I would tell somebody watching, I would say.
So let's stay on the story because I actually I'm very unfamiliar with the actual Closer Olympics and how it works. So like, how is it scored? How do you win? How does it get, how do you get better at it? Like, what is the point of it from a standpoint of like, what are you working towards? And yeah, how do you win?
So the scoring system, basically the process is you get a dialer and it's dialing real sellers who may have raised their hand and said, hey, I want to sell my house.
Okay.
And you get a seller on the phone, and the dialer will push out the property address, maybe some call notes, and then you're expected to underwrite the property and make an offer and get an offer accepted in 30 minutes.
Wow.
And it's not 30 minutes per seller. It's 30 minutes. You get 30 minutes. So if you feel like the seller is not ready, like you need to like move to the next seller. So you have to like sense to see like, is this like, are we going to make something happen here? Because I am on the clock. And you get points. You get points on your rapport, building rapport, how friendly you are. You get points on finding their pain. You get points on giving them creative solutions. You get points on if they give you a verbal, like, yeah, I like it, let's do it. And then the last set of points is based on do you sign the paperwork? And fun fact, I was the first person in the history of this competition that actually got a signature in my 30 minutes.
Wow.
So
I want to highlight that. So that's huge, right? That's huge. This competition has been going on for a bit, and we've had some amazing names compete on it, right? We've got the guy who won, RJ Bates, who's one of the probably the best closers in our industry. And he had competed in the past, right? We've had guys like Steve Train compete in the past. We've had some phenomenal Max Jimenez, who is a clinical closer. But this is something through, maybe it's an element of luck, maybe it's an element of did you connect with the right person at the right time. People have gotten verbals before, but a signed contract, like you called the seller, had the conversation, got the verbal before the shot clock is up, a DocuSign has gone out and they have signed it. Now this is true closing, like on display. It had never been done before. Munif, it's not that you did it in the tournament; you did it on your first day.
yes.
It was on the day where everyone in Subto, by the way, Subto had a private Zoom stream where we had like 80 people in it in Subto supported, going crazy for Munif because we didn't want to be in the regular chat with everyone else. And everyone was going crazy. Everyone from us, we all know Munif. He is Subto's golden boy. But the rest of the crowd, Munif, you were kind of an unknown commodity.
They had no idea who I was. Like nobody knew. They're like,
and so much so that
my name.
they misspelled his name. What did they call you?
Munif Souza, S-O-Z-A.
It was Munif Souza. So they had him, under the whole Manny Souza title for a little bit. And so Manny Souza, who's no one has ever met. Right, his audacious claim and his goal was, I want to build the biggest wholesaling company in the country. That was your claim from day one. And then no one knows who he is. Nobody knows outside of us. And then what does he do? Has insane rapport, insane conversations. First person to get a contract signed, the entire industry stopped. And I'm saying this as a truth because we were watching it and I had different streams open and everyone was just stunned. Everyone was stunned. So it was beautiful to see. But I mean, look at that. So we this kind of goes back to the people who, we talked about, the people who are in the shadows and they're a little bit afraid of raising their hands. Talk about putting yourself into an uncomfortable situation. Munif was basically voluntold by his mentor at the tune of $10,000 in front of thousands of viewers to go do this. And as terrifying as that is, he stepped up for it. I mean, and that's freaking huge. So at the end of the day, you have to put yourself into uncomfortable situations that terrify you. And Munif, you did that in a huge way. You and I were already very close then. We talked so much, and I knew that it was a difficult thing for you to do. You were constantly pushing your limits. Looking back at it now, was it 100% the right choice to went and have competed?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it wasn't really my choice, but it was 100%. It was. I mean, I'm just teasing. I even got mad at Pace. I was like, Pace, what is this, man? I'm so nervous. Like, what did you do? And he was like so relaxed. Pace is so calm, man. He's like, what? Who cares? 10,000. What's 10,000? Who cares if you fuck up? Who cares? Just have fun. And I'm like, oh my God, how can I? All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So it was the best thing Pace has ever done for me. Best thing he's ever done. He's given me an opportunity.
There's so much value in putting yourself in the right room and having someone like Pace who put that on you because he believed in you. And sometimes we don't see the greatness in ourselves until somebody else sees greatness in us. And I think that's one of the value of having someone like Pace in all of our lives, but in the community as well. And even those relationships that you and Sam have, you and Faisal have, you and Noah, lots of other people inside this group. Like that's the value of building a community and friendship. Is like those people will also push you in other ways as well, and
Yes.
and see the greatness in you, because sometimes we're easy on ourselves. And so going back to what you were talking about, doing the first Rich Dad, Poor Dad mentorship, doing a couple other mentorships in between, like I guess what has the community done for you in that aspect of almost forcing you into positions? Just even like you said, like did you feel some push from the community to like raise your hand and like start with putting yourself out there on the daily dial? Like how's community impacted?
No push from the community. It was me. It was
Yeah.
me doing it, and community is amazing. Community was very helpful. Community always encouraged me. But if say I didn't show up or something, I didn't do the accountability buddy stuff. I just I told myself I would quit this game if I didn't raise my hand. Now, I want you to know, every morning I'd raise my hand. I wanted to vomit.
Wow.
Wanted to vomit. And I'm not exaggerating. I wanted to throw up. And it didn't stop for months. Every morning I'd be in whatever in line, and then just the worst was it was my turn to go, and they would just talk about something, and I'm just let's get it over with, let's just do it. And so what I did, I eventually started getting up a little bit early, before the meeting started, and I would just raise my hand really fast to be first, because I would just get so nauseous waiting in line. I was I just need to go first. I'm not even joking. I get nauseous, and I think the culmination of that was the Closers Olympics. Those 3 days, I was nauseous, so nauseous, because I was so nervous, and I didn't sleep well those days. The month of leading up to, I didn't sleep well. And those 3 days, those 72 hours, I was just literally, my body was just full of adrenaline. And then I had an adrenaline dump at the end of it. At the end of the whole thing, I was just done. And then I literally, I think my immune system took a shock. I have asthma. My asthma came back, and literally never happened since childhood. My asthma has been gone since childhood, and my asthma came back because my immune system just took a shock. And I had coughing asthma for 2 months, 3 months after. I thought I was sick. And then I got different tests done, and the doctors are all nah, this is just your lungs filling up with fluid from asthma. I'm how the hell did this happen? And I talked to a few health experts, and they're oh yeah, your body went through crazy amounts of stress. So this is, but the good side is I'm not afraid of anything anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not.
We talked about that, right? Because you and I, this was a theme for, like you said, 2 months, where every time I spoke to you, you were not out of breath, but it felt like you were running out of breath, and it felt like you were always kind of feeling ill, feeling a little bit weak, and you got into running for a little bit, right? You had started to really kind of clean up your diet a little bit. I remember that, really put a priority on sleep. And we quickly came to the conclusion, you were talking to me about this. You were talking to Ralph a lot, because Ralph is another Subto student who is huge on health and fitness. And we quickly realized it's just that you mentally had a ton of stress for about a month, right? A few weeks training and leading up to it, then the big event, and then that all manifested in its toll on your immune systems. You had a lack of sleep, you weren't taking care of yourself enough, and then mentally you were just racked 24 hours a day, and that just kind of tanked you for a little bit. But now that you're back, I mean, I look at you now and I'm I think you can go crush Closers Olympics again, easy. Not even
PTSD, man. I have PTSD from it. But this is a question people ask me: you're going to go again? You're going to compete again? And I don't want to. It's how do I explain this? It's like being voluntold to go run a marathon. Yeah. You're peeing blood because your kidneys are shocked, right? And you do it, And you're like, people here are crazy. And it's like, I'm not a marathon runner. I haven't been practicing for marathons. But then you go and you win second place in a marathon. And you're like, all right, well, that was great. I don't know if I want to do this again.
So
it's open. I'm open.
well, here's the reality. I think that, you came up with this convenient little lie to try to get out of it. And it's, my business is too busy. I'm too busy. Amazing things are happening, which they absolutely were for you. But now your business is on 17 different levels. So we've talked a lot about the origin story of Munif now, and everyone knew Munif when I joined in, right? When I joined Subto October, Munif, everyone talked about Munif, the golden boy of Subto, and I was like, who the heck is this guy? I knew that he was on Twitch, and he was killing it there, and I knew that he was a closer. I'm like, great, what's a closer? You made a name for yourself being arguably the best closer in the mentorship. I would definitely put you up there.
I actually don't put myself anywhere near the top. And I want to speak on this. Before the Closers Olympics, I personally only closed like a handful of deals. I don't know why people think I'm such a great closer. Like I only closed a handful. People like me. People like how I talk to sellers. Sellers like me, but there's a lot of flaws in my closing ability that were highlighted in the Closers Olympics.
Shout out to Steve Trang.
He's a very incredible sales coach. He gave me a lot of pointers. Max Jimenez gave me a lot of good pointers. These people, there's sales and there's likability, right? Like sellers like me, they enjoy talking to me. This is great. And people think, wow, Munif's a great salesman, but sales is can be very technical. So there are people like one of my favorite closers ever, is Steven Morales, who's in my opinion, the most technical closer, who's done, I think thousands of closes he's done. And there's more people. There's people in Subto who've closed more transactions than me. This is I don't know how you say best or whatever. People like how I talk on the phone, but I don't want to take any credit on being best, second best, third best in the mentorship. This is I think even today I don't know how many personally I've closed. I have people that close for me, and I do other things. I raise private money. I structure land deals. I do different stuff. But
well, to say this, the reality, and you're right. At the end of the day, what makes a good closer? We can dive into that a million different ways.
Yes.
Which you're not going to do. Out of personal preference and maybe a little bit of bias, I learn a lot from you.
You love me, Sam, so you're biased.
And the reality is, you and I close very differently.
Yes,
right? You and I sound different. We project our voices differently. We have different tonalities. Everything about us is very different. So I learn a lot from you because you're on the opposite side of the spectrum from me. But that being said, you are now stepping away from being the closer of Subto. You are now into something I feel much bigger, and it's constantly expanding, and it feels like you're taking over the world in a minute's time. You are now dominating the world of Airbnbs. And I want to know, a little bit like, dude, where's that going? Because if you, at the pace that I feel like you're going at, I don't think there's going to be Airbnbs for the rest of us this year.
Come on, there's plenty of Airbnbs for everybody. I'll tell you where this is going. This is going, so my partner, Noah Hoffman, is the Airbnb king, Noah. And I want him to have the crown. The crown is his, but I don't think everybody knows it. So my goal is to give him the crown, where he will take it. I will create opportunities for Noah, but I want it to be undisputed that Noah is the king. And this is my goal. It's fun. I'm having a great time helping him get his crown. I feel like Merlin the wizard helping King Arthur get his crown.
It's awesome.
Well, you are the wholesale wizard. I've heard you be called that before. You are a wizard. You are a magician. But I love that analogy. Absolutely love that analogy.
It's this is how I look at business. Money's cool. Money's great. But just my philosophy with business, and Sam knows this. I talk about this a lot. This is like recess, like in school when you have recess, and everyone's like, it's like the doors open and everyone just runs out. Remember that when the doors would open, you just run. You don't know where you're running. You just run. And there's like so many possibilities. There's you can do the jungle gym by yourself. You can do the jungle gym with your friends. You can play kickball. You can play four squares. You can play football, tag, whatever you want to do. And business is like recess, and joint venturing is like playing a game with your friends or even strangers. And it's not really about the points of the game. It's about making friends and getting invited to play again. This is the point. This is what makes it fun. And back when I had a full-time job, I did this part-time. Up until very recently, I was a full-time cybersecurity engineer. I felt like I was in school 40 hours a week, and I had recess the rest. Now, I feel like my whole life is recess. So I get to play different games with different people. This business is it's a playground for me.
That's awesome. So Sam touched on that you are with Noah, helping him become the king of Airbnbs. Who else are you partnered with? What else do you have going on that you're conquering?
I don't know if conquer is the right word. I'm having fun. We're playing. We're getting points. We're winning. I don't know. I have some. I have my stuff with Noah. We're doing Airbnbs. I'm helping him with his courses. I want him on stages. I want him on bigger and bigger stages. I want his face on billboards. I want people to know him as the king. This is fun. Yeah, we might buy some Airbnbs together, but I want him to be the. Have you seen the American Gangster movie?
Yeah.
I want him to be the American Gangster of Airbnbs. Connect. This is fun. I love Noah. We have fun together. I have the wholesaling business with my Ninja Acquisitions. They love it. We're growing that business. I have my fix and flips with whoever. Like I will literally go travel to a new city to teach or do a seminar, and I will meet people in the audience or like people who host me. Like recently I went to Dallas, and one of the Subto students, Tracy Tran, literally hosted me. She was like, "Hey, where are you staying? I have an Airbnb. I'll block it just for you and Noah."
Nice.
And she blocked it. It was amazing. She was such a great hostess. And I talked to her, and she's like been a realtor for like over 20 years. She does fix and flips like clockwork. And I'm like, hey, like, if I bring a deal and if I fund it, you want a JV? She's like, yeah, of course. And now we're partners. So anything in Dallas, I'll buy cash. I'll fund it. I have private money. She'll renovate it and she'll list it. And we split those. So this is fun. This is recess. You understand? This is, I do this. Say I have one land development project. I told the land developer, okay, he wants to build an RV park. Okay. If I bring you a deal, I bring you the funding. Will you develop it? Yes. Okay, cool. So I will structure a deal with the seller and the wholesaler. They will wait to get paid. And then we're going to get a loan against the land as a collateral. So we'll get the financing. This is easy. And then it's simple. The developer will develop it, and he's like, how much of a cut you want? I said, give me what's fair. I don't care. Just you do it. I don't want to deal with it. You develop it and you do everything. Just I will put the pieces together and hand it off to you. Okay. So this is how I like to do business. This is fun for me.
Yeah. you just want to play. And so how do people play with you? Obviously, what if I want to come to Munif and say I want to play with you?
Yes.
How do I play?
Find me cash deals in major markets. I'll buy. And
then,
I have exits. I have different exits, whether it's fix and flip, buy and hold, Airbnb, wrap, lease option, whatever. I might even re-wholesale it. Who knows what I do? But bring me cash deals, bring me creative deals. And then maybe the thing is people must lead with value. This is something I've learned. And sell me something. Or it doesn't even have to be yours. If it can be somebody else's deal that you found on Facebook, just bring it to me. I'll pay you. Daisy chain it to me. I don't care. But this is nice because the people I buy from now they're my business partners, right? I'm buying. We're doing this. It's you're selling me something. I might repackage it and resell it or keep it or whatever, right? So this is one way to play.
And then with the Airbnbs. Are you are you guys managing other people's Airbnbs? Or are you just taking down your own Airbnbs? So
no one manages. We take down our own. I find the money in the deals. Noah does the setup and management. But Noah wants 200 doors. I'm not involved in his management business, but I help him. I bring him opportunities. This is leading with value. You must help the people around you. I don't need to make profit from his business, but if he's happy, if he's winning, this makes me happy.
So if I have an Airbnb and it's out of state and I don't know how to manage it, then I reach out to you and you connect me with Noah, and Noah manages that, and we make lots of money together.
Noah wants 200 doors to manage by the end of the year, so let's help him.
It's awesome. It's amazing.
Tell me about yourselves. Like, how did you guys get started here?
No, that's not how this works, Munif. Don't try to spin this around. Don't try to spin this.
I don't know anything about your podcast.
Yeah, the people know too much about us already. That's actually the problem.
How do we connect with you? Like, again, someone's out there, they want to bring you an Airbnb deal, they want to bring a wholesale deal, they want to bring a cash deal. Like, what's the best place to connect with you outside of Subto? Obviously, inside Subto, everyone knows who you are, but there's lots of people that are watching this outside of Subto. How do they connect with?
That's his Instagram. This is the best. Just see my handle is in my name. There we go. This is the best way to connect with me.
And then, what is the best way to approach you? Is it just like, hey, I got a deal?
The best way is, hey, I've got a deal for you to buy. This is the best. I got a deal to buy. Please don't ask me to call your seller.
But Munif, you're the best on the phones. I want you to call my seller.
No, I'm okay. There's other people. I would say JV with Samsung, JV with Mamadou, JV with Will Ayarza or Kevin Cho or Keston, Daryl. JV with these people. They will close your deals. Then please sell it to me. I'll buy.
So, because as we wrap things up, I wanted to I always want to end with good stuff, right? I think ending on a high note is important. Munif mentioned a few of the things that he's going on. He's got Airbnbs, he's got fix and flips, he's got speaking engagements because he's teaching people across the country how to find and fund and set up their own Airbnb. He also mentioned this kind of subtly. He has this thing with ninjas. He is the OG ninja, just so everyone's clear. And he's got a ragtag team of trained assassins called Ninja Acquisitions. And I just got confirmation from one of our closers, Tori, that we just closed another deal during this.
Which one did we close? Which one? Wait, which one was it? This is dope. The one you were working on with them.
Yep.
This is amazing. This is amazing. This is incredible. I love Tori. I love you. Thank you for helping him with that.
Absolutely.
The credibility just off the
my favorite my favorite income is making money from a deal I didn't even touch. This is the best.
I get to be in this amazing position at Ninja where I just get to randomly call Munif or text and be like, hey, by the way, we just got another deal. And he's like, where? I'm like, this is where. I have no idea what that is. I know, it's okay. It's okay.
This will sell. You understand? I will not talk to the seller, the buyer, the the TC, everybody's in place. I just put them together. This is the best. This is the best ever. I don't want to be on the phone with the seller. This is good. I can do it, but this...
Yeah, he's already done 5,000 seller calls. People, let's let him live now. Let him breathe. But
So
Munif,
we do have a question, Sam. If you have time, do you have time for one question?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it up here. So Sahib says, "What states are you doing Airbnb in? Is there any states you're not doing Airbnb?"
Yes,
in?
New Mexico. No, New Mexico. No, New Mexico. They creative deals are difficult there. They don't like Subtos there. It's difficult. Title companies they get squirrely with Subtos. So I don't like New Mexico.
Cool. So in all 49 states outside of New Mexico.
Yes, this is great. This is excellent.
Beautiful. All right. So if you guys want to reach out to Munif about any Airbnb deals, any deals you have locked up,
Cash.
locked up,
Buy cash. Major
Cash
markets.
cash
Yes.
deals, homie. Reach out to Munif on Instagram and tell him you got a deal,
Thank you.
and he'll probably buy it. And if he doesn't buy it, I'll buy it.
I just need 3 things. It's simple. 3 things. Address, photos, and your asking price. And if I ignore it, it means I don't like it. If I send you earnest money, it means I like it.
He will not tell you yes or no. He will just send you. He'll Venmo you.
I will say, where do I send it? I will say EMD and then question mark. This wire details. This okay, send me paperwork. Because the thing is, I don't. I'll ignore it if I don't like it because some people don't like feedback. They don't like. If you ask for feedback on why I don't like it, I'll tell you. But I will ignore it if I don't like it. I'm looking, right? I'm looking because my inbox is full. I get deals, and then I want one. I'll reach out. I'll say, hey, tell me more about this, and then I'll send money. I can send EMD like that. It's no problem. But most people don't like feedback, so I will not give you feedback on the deal unless you ask me for it.
It's totally fair. It's
Amazing.
awesome.
Munif, dude.
Yes.
I gotta say this, man. I gotta say this. For you to be here is super special. Your origin story. I think I may have talked to you about this. Pace Morby said he told me this. I believe maybe through a Q&A. I can't remember, but he said one of the most impactful things, one of the most powerful things that someone can actually provide to others is their origin story. And I think you've got a fantastic one. There's a lot of things in your origin story that I know of through proximity that we didn't get to dive into today. But the reality is your story is relatable. It is genuine. You are so honest about the trials and tribulations that you've been through. And I know for a fact, because I speak from this experience, it is inspiring and it helps people evolve. So the fact that you are so open and continually sharing it the way that you do is absolutely amazing. It's impacted me in a huge way. I wouldn't be where I'm at or anywhere close to it without you. So to have you here right now with me and with my good friend Logan, it's a blessing. So dude, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. It's very kind of you. Thank you, Sam.
And I'm very grateful that we got a chance to connect. This is our first time connecting in real life. In the real world.
Yes, I'm so happy, man. Thank you for having me. You're amazing. Thank you so much.
I just appreciate you sharing your story and being vulnerable and like honestly, so someone like me is probably very similar to the rest of people who are watching this who don't necessarily know you as well as Sam does. That's going to change, but it really is inspiring for me, and I know for the people who are listening to hear about the actual raw emotions and the things that you felt, even going into something like the Closer Olympics, where everyone only sees that you got second. They don't see they don't see the process that led up to you getting that outcome, and then even the emotions and the feelings that went into what ended up happening over those 3 days. So just really appreciate you for being vulnerable and sharing. You're helping a lot more people than you probably even know, which is awesome.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you for saying that.
So thank you so much for hopping on today. Sam, thank you for bringing your beautiful podcast voice in today and sharing your.
Voice.
Seriously, it's amazing, and sharing your love and your passion for not just Munif but the real estate industry in itself, and wanting to give. And I think that's why we all have very good synergies, because we all want to give, and it's very evident today why you are successful, Munif, is because you're one of the best givers in the community, and so that's why you are where you are.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Sam.
Amazing. All right, there you guys have it. Episode 2 in the books with Munif freaking Saza. Guys, thank you for being here.
Get it?
That's what this is all about. All right, everyone. We will see you next week.
Later, guys.
Peace.